Hiya there. Welcome again to Off the Cuff Reviews with me, Jules Brown. That's Jules Brown, not Charlie Brown, and not Linus either. Jules Brown. Today I'd like to review the third album by Funkadelic, which was called Maggot Brain, released in July 1971, exactly 1 year on from their previous album, which I've just reviewed. Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow. This album, as I say, July 1971. This was the last album, incidentally, that they did with three certain members of the band. The bass player, one of the guitarists, and the drummer left after this album. So Tool Ross, who was one of the guitarists, Billy Nelson on bass, and also the drummer whose name escapes me, Tiki Forward, excuse me, all left, and they all played a big role and excelled on this album. In fact, the album starts with the title track, Maggot Brain. Let me quote you. Fantastic. Mother Earth is pregnant for the third time, for you all have knocked her up. I have tasted the maggots in the mind of the universe. I was not offended, for I knew I had to rise above it all or drown in my own shit, is the narrative to begin this title track of this album, Maggot Brain. And then it goes into this mellow, extremely mellow arpeggio guitar, slow in one channel, and then the lead guitar for the first part of the song is in the other channel. It's just an interesting, almost like the music's almost not there. You know that part of your foot, at the top of your foot, where the skin is really, really thin and smooth, and it's almost not there. The skin is almost not there. It's like this song. Sometimes the song, it just like goes so quiet and so mellow, it almost disappears into nothingness. It's quite beautiful, actually. The lead guitar gets distorted towards the end of the song, and then the arpeggio guitar goes away and then comes back again, and the lead guitar then switches from one channel to both channels. Gets bluesy in the middle for a little while. Incredible opening to the track where Eddie Hazel excels. I don't know how many guitar parts Tool Ross plays on this. I imagine he plays maybe the rhythm part, but yeah, it's a lovely way to start the album. And then that goes into, by comparison, a very short song called Can You Get to That, which is a really hooky, catchy little number, quite soul-y, with a contrast of a falsetto lead vocal with a very bassy or baritone deep down there backing vocal. Very, as I say, catchy little number. Then track 3, Hit It and Quit It. This is a guitar hook laden track where the bass and the keys all follow the guitar hook, the guitar riff, if you like. There's a Bernie Worrell keyboard solo, very cool. Nice track. Yeah, very nice, that one. Track number 4, You and Your Folks, Me and My Folks. This fairly resonates, very, that Funkadelic reverby. I think they did it mostly in their early career. Reverb drenched drums, bass drum and snare drum at times. Yeah, so chanty. The guitar's quite low in the mix on this one, with distinctive Bernie Worrell piano sounding keys. Nice way to end side 1. Side 2, super stupid, like a funky Black Sabbath. The production on this track is particularly good, I think. I talked about the last album where the production was a bit hit or miss. Maybe George Clinton was experimenting a little bit too much, perhaps. But on this album, on the whole, it does have a more of a together feel. It's still a challenging album, but it's just a bit more together. And on Super Stupid, which, as I say, it's got a bit of a rock, almost metal feel, but much more funky because it's got bongos in there and it's got some just more rhythmic with great drumming. Like Tiki Forward, drums sounding ace on this track, the production on the whole just sounding great. Then the second track on side 2, Back in Our Minds. This is a piano driven number with this peculiar affected percussion going through what sounds like could be a flanger or something of that description. A chanty number with plenty of horns in there. Nice soul-y track. And the album finishes with this incredible jam where, again, the drum sounds slightly different on the last track on the album, but the drums sound fantastic, and Tiki Forward's drumming is superb on this last. I don't know how he keeps it up for the whole track, but it's a real groovy way to end the album, with some strange noises in there, some baby noises towards the beginning, complicated drum rhythm, Hammond organ. Sounds like the BBC's 1950s special effects team are going to work on this album with some of the the noises and cuckoo clock noises and reverb drench. It gets more reverby towards the end of the song. And the cowbell in it, continuous cowbell for much of the song, which gets more reverb influenced as the song goes on as well. Wah wah guitar, a public address announcement towards the end of the song, just giving a whole flavor of a really cool loose jam. And right at the end, there's a huge explosion or two, and the explosion stops, and then we get a sound of a heartbeat for a little while, and then the heartbeat stops, and then music comes in, like groove comes in for about a split second, as if it was going to come back at you again, and it fades out very, very quickly. So an amazing album, I'd say. This one, it's one, I think it's probably maybe the most talked about or album by Funkadelic, or lots of people talk about One Nation Under a Groove, which isn't one of my favorite albums. I much prefer earlier Funkadelic and for instance Maggot Brain, and for that reason I'm going to give this album a 9 out of 10. I think it's quite an important album. It's got the groove, it's got the dynamic, it's challenging, it's got some interesting lyrical content, it's got that sort of spiritual but slightly dark and sinister feel to it as well. A real good album, and as I say, a 9 out of 10. So that concludes my review of this album, Maggot Brain by Funkadelic. I thank you again for listening. If you want to stay tuned, then do subscribe by switching and pressing the subscribe icon, and welcome to any comments as well. And it'd been really nice to hear from you, and I hope everybody is doing all right out there in this crazy world. All right, and speak to you soon. Tune in again. Thank you for listening.